How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Manny Maradiege, joining you guys today on November 6th, a Wednesday here. We had yesterday off because of the election day, so we're going to continue on from what we were talking about, or what we were supposed to be talking about on Monday and into Tuesday, with some more recaps on today's show. The slate on Sunday was pretty eventful, so I couldn't go too many days without really talking about it because there were some pretty big, impactful games over the weekend, as we all know. We're going to talk about the Monday Night Football game that we didn't get a chance to talk about. Also, the trade deadline being yesterday. We're going to recap some of those moves and some more games as well. The Vikings game, the Rams game, and the Eagles game, all coming up on today's episode. Make sure to stick around for all of that. And also, as we typically do, like always, if you guys want to get involved in the show, want to have a question, opinion, or just any statement you want to share and be part of the show, please don't hesitate to do so. Your input and insight is always a big part of what makes this show great, so we thrive on your energies and your guys' thoughts on anything we have to say on the live show, so you guys can get involved and join the conversation. And now, if you want to make it absolutely sure that your message stands out and you get featured on the show, there's an easy way to do that just by using the new Super Chat feature. Just click the $ at the bottom of the chat box to send in your Super Chat, and this way it guarantees that your message gets on the air, and also it's a fantastic way to support our channel and for us to keep bringing you the sports content you guys all love. We are always very appreciative of your guys' support and your involvement in the show. It always is very greatly received over here in GSMC. So go ahead and let us know what you're thinking. Hit the Super Chat button, and let's keep this show as interactive and as exciting as possible. Again, if you want to get involved with the show, use the new Super Chat feature just by clicking the $ again at the bottom of the chat box and get involved with the show today. But now we can jump in and get back to talking about football after a day hiatus yesterday. I'm not joining you guys. We're going to get right into it and talk about the Monday Night Football game before we get all into the craziness of the trade deadline yesterday. We got to get to this Monday Night Football game because we had a great game on Monday, as you guys all know, for most of you that saw it, as the Chiefs remained perfect and go to 8-0 after an overtime victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 30-24 was the final score. The Buccaneers made it a very close game despite playing without their two most impactful players on offense, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. This game was forced into overtime, if you guys didn't know, after the Bucs were able to get a game-tying touchdown to tie the score at 24 when Baker Mayfield threw that touchdown to Ryan Miller with 27 seconds left. Ryan Miller also finished with a pretty awesome stat line. 1 reception, 1 yard, 1 touchdown on 3 targets, which was awesome to see for Ryan Miller. Made an impact in the game regardless of how many targets he got. That was great to see. But, it ultimately came up short because the Chiefs just continued to excel in those big moments, right? When the big moment comes, Patrick, Andy Reid, Travis, the level of execution that the Chiefs have in these moments, I don't think should be taken for granted or should be belittled in any way because they do it so often, right? Everybody just looks at overtime. You guys saw it by Baker Mayfield's, response to the coin toss, right? You saw it. You saw it in the coin toss, right? How they flipped the coin, whatever the call was for Patrick. It obviously was in their favor, and Baker just gave like really, are you serious? Like one of those reactions, it shouldn't be taken for granted. And even the other team knows it, so we gotta make sure to not just breeze over it, because executing at this level isn't as easy as they make it look. So Zaire Horley, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. There was no show yesterday just because of the elections going on. So I don't know how many shows took off, but a couple of the shows weren't live on air for the election. So that's the reason why there was no show yesterday. So continuing on with the Chiefs in this game, right? Looking at how the Chiefs won this game, they became the first team since the Carolina Panthers back in 2014, actually, to win 14 straight games. Obviously, the Chiefs dating back to last season where they went on that run there towards the end of the year. Continuing on into this year as well, they've won 14 straight games. Again, another remarkable record for this team. And also, they became the 6th Super Bowl team to start 8-0 following the previous season where they won everything. And a pretty neat fact also, they've won their last 8 games while trailing in the second half as well, including the playoffs. So it's been, just as you'd expect, but also, again, don't let this just be seemingly normal, right? This is not normal what the Chiefs are doing, and you can make an argument that they're not even playing very well either, right? Because Patrick seems a little bit just un-Patrick-like for the level that he's playing at right now. For them to be undefeated, you can only imagine where they're going to be in a couple weeks when Patrick is actually firing on all cylinders. So it's pretty scary at this point in time, but still they got the win on Monday Night Football. And just looking around everywhere else where we saw some contributions, Patrick, like I said, 291 yards, 3 touchdowns in this game. He was sacked 4 times, but still pulled out a victory. Kareem Hunt started the game off pretty slow, but he finished another game with over 100 yards on 27 carries and that game-winning touchdown in overtime. Then the receivers for the Chiefs, Travis Kelce, 14 receptions for 100 yards, and DeAndre Hopkins having his best game for the Chiefs, 8 receptions, 86 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So those 2 guys leading the efforts for the Chiefs on the receiving end, while for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like I said, a very good game, I guess, just for where they are right now. Not a lot of people put in a lot of stock into this game just because of their injuries, but some of their notable performers, Baker Mayfield, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. They had 95 total rushing yards with getting contributions from a lot of guys like Sean Tucker, Rashad White, Sterling Shepard, and Bucky Irving. All of them contributed to the rushing game. And their leading receiver was Cade Otton, their tight end, who's building a good relationship with Baker Mayfield. I think he's definitely the go-to guy. Even with Godwin and Evans, Cade Otton was still getting a good amount of looks. So he finished with 8 receptions, 77 yards, and a touchdown in this game. So, it doesn't look like they had crazy performances like you see from Hopkins and Kelce, right? But still, they made it a very close game, and that was good to see. And then looking at the game and how it kind of all played out in some of the crucial moments, the Chiefs were initially leading this game 3-0 before there was back-to-back touchdowns by the Buccaneers and then one by the Chiefs. So still the Chiefs held a 3-point lead at 10-7 now, before there was a little bit of a scare with Travis Kelce when he fumbled the ball with about a minute left before halftime, but the Buccaneers weren't able to take advantage of that, and both teams went into halftime still at 10-7. Then in the second half, it got a little bit more exciting, right? Because we saw the Bucs score a touchdown and also tack on a field goal, so they were leading 17-10. But the Chiefs, not too far behind, they tied up once again, and then we find ourselves at 17-17 for a majority of the second half. Until, if I'm being honest, until we saw that second touchdown by DeAndre Hopkins. Once we saw that, with about 4 minutes left in the entire game, I thought that was going to be pretty much it. I thought, the Chiefs scored, then they were going to go out there on defense and just shut the door completely on this Bucs team. But credit to the Bucs for putting together a very impressive drive, 10 plays, 71 total yards to drive down the field and score a touchdown, like I said, with about 24 seconds left after that. But no 2-point conversion, which was obviously a big discussion afterwards. And, they tied it up. And then in overtime, of course, the Chiefs end up winning it. They won the coin toss, and Mahomes never gave the ball back, and they won the game 30-24. Also in this game, Mahomes suffered a little bit of a scare with that ankle injury, but he really didn't miss any time, so it looks to be all good. But we have to talk about the 2-point conversion, or the lack of 2-point conversion, right? Because everyone killed the Buccaneers for not going for it, right? You have an opportunity to beat the Chiefs in prime time on the road. Both of your star receivers missing, so why don't you go for 2? Well, I don't hate the decision, honestly, like a lot of other people do. Obviously, it looks bad in hindsight, right? Where you play conservative and you never see the ball again, right? When the Chiefs just go down and drive it and score the game-winning touchdown. But I think it's just more. It feels like people are making the argument like it's just more of a like an attitude sort of moral thing at this point, right? I feel like if they would have gone for two and not gotten it, a lot of people would have just been happy that they just went for it and not really cared about winning the game. They would have just gave them a pat in the back and said, well, you went for it. You went at least to try and win. Good for you. You lost the game, but good try at least going for 2 points. Where I think in this situation, not going for two, it doesn't necessarily, write off the entire game, right? I feel like that's what a lot of people are making it out to be like, where, it's no guarantee that the Chiefs get the ball, right? That's one thing. The way the coin toss works and everything, obviously, you got to have a little bit of luck there, right? And of course, it falls in the favor of the Chiefs. And I do know that you don't even want to give them that opportunity to get the ball, right? But getting a 2-point conversion isn't the easiest thing to do, especially when you're down Chris Godwin, when you're down Mike Evans. You're going to rely on Sterling Shepard, on Ryan Miller, these other guys that aren't really accustomed to these situations, and you're going to rely on them to go out there and win you the game. The Chiefs are going to be double, triple covering Cade Otton, so he's probably not going to get involved. Are you going to throw it out to the running back? Unlikely. So a 2-point conversion in that situation isn't always a given, but again, I feel like people would have been happy just for the fact that they went out and tried it, where I like this decision to take it into overtime because, again, if the Chiefs get the ball, the Bucs can stop them, right? That's obviously a possibility, but, they didn't. The Chiefs executed. They've been in this situation millions of times. Knowing that, I do get the point that knowing that, you don't want to give them that chance, but the way that this game was going, how tight it was, I don't hate the decision to not go for two. If you lose the game then and there, I still believe people would have criticized them a little bit for going for two in that situation, right? It was a lose-lose situation. I don't hate the decision by Todd Bowles. And if anything, it looks like they're going to be all right, at least in this meantime, while they wait for Mike Evans to come back. So, it is what it is now. They lost the game. They played a good game, but overall, it did end up in a loss here. If the Chiefs get the ball in overtime, they're winning. It was a Vegas game. Yeah, I mean, like, as a fan and as everybody knows watching football, I mean, you said it yourself, if the Chiefs get the ball. You don't know they're getting the ball. That's really my biggest pushback, I guess I would say. The Bucs could have easily gotten the ball if the coin toss just fell their way. And again, yes, the Chiefs are heavily favored to win in overtime if they get the ball. But the way the game was going, there was some moments where I felt the Bucs made Patrick a little bit uncomfortable. But, in those moments, no one's ever going to bet against Patrick and the Chiefs. So I do understand the point, but I don't think it's just an outright, like, blasphemous decision to not go for two there. I didn't hate it, and overall, it is what it is. The Chiefs go to 8-0. It looks like they're firing on all cylinders, or at least starting to get there with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins. So that's pretty exciting if you're a Chiefs fan. But for the meantime, we're going to move on from this game. There's a lot more to talk about, starting with yesterday's trade deadline that we have to get to. I pinpointed about 5 of the moves that we saw yesterday that I really like. We're going to talk about them and just my overall thoughts on them and which one I think is the best move that we saw yesterday at the 4 p.m. deadline. We're going to talk about that when we return in just a few moments.